Hello, hello, hello. It's Shauna Marie from Happy by Design. And I have with me a special guest. He is one of the interviewees for my book. And his name is Charlie Scopoletti, or Charles Scopoletti. I call him Charlie because that's how I first met him. And I don't know, he's just the most lovely person. And so let me see. I don't know why it's not showing both of us. There we go. And so Charlie Scopoletti is chapter 9 of Let's Talk About the C Word, How Cancer Gave More Than It Took. And his story is a double story because he had two types of cancer, once when he was a young boy and then once when he was an adult. And both times music came into play and was a heavy influencer in his healing, in his life, in his family life, in his joy, in everything. Every cell of his being had something to do with the music that he was creating, because not only was he playing music as a young boy, banging on drums or playing whatever it is in the hospital, but then he started to use music as something a little more. And so now he is inspiring people across the globe. He's writing songs. He is speaking philanthropically. He is helping other cancer patients and people in general, because it's not just cancer that's affected and changed by music therapy, because they use music therapy. They've used it since Aristotle and Plato. And then the First and Second World War, they realized there was something to it. And so they brought it up. So music is good for anyone. It's good for all of us. It takes us to a place when maybe we're just having a bad day or we're having a perfect day and we want to elevate it. So I would like to introduce you to Charlie Scopoletti. And we're going to have a brief conversation about his journey and how he feels about music and where it's taken him. So welcome, my dear. So happy to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure. Congratulations on this amazing book. I am so grateful to be part of it. And, you should be so proud. I know how much work you put into it, and it is going to inspire many people all around the world. So thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you. It's my pleasure and such a joy to meet you. Such a
You
joy.
as
And I
well.
want everyone else to know who you are and get your music out there. And he has 3 albums out, so we want to talk a little bit about that. But let's start with how music has changed things in your life. I mean, of course, you don't know what your life would be like without cancer, but you do know what your life would be like without music.
Right. Well, it's interesting how life happens, right? I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma when I was 10 years old. And as a kid going through that, I'm just a kid. They're telling me I'm sick and I feel sick, but I don't know really what the words mean. This was over 30 years ago when I was diagnosed. So it wasn't something that was on the forefront or you heard every day. So I just did what my parents told me, the doctors told me, and was in the hospital. And I wasn't feeling well. I was doing the treatments and chemo and radiation. But there was a blessing in that. There was a recreation room in the hospital, and there was this music room. And I would go into this music room, and I would just be able to play the drums like you were mentioning, or play the guitar. And they had a volunteer that would come and perform for us, but also show us how to play the instruments. And as a collective group of 10-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds, just trying to do something, we lost ourselves for an hour. And that seed that was planted then just grew into something that became my gift in life. And it took a while for me to realize that, but the seed was planted. And I just knew every time I went to that recreation room and played music, I felt better during that time and as I left. And every time I went back into my hospital room, I wanted to get back down to that recreation room as quick as I can. Because I realized, and probably on a subconscious level as a 10-year-old, that I just felt better when I was doing that activity.
Right.
And so I wanted to do it more and more.
Mm-hmm. I love what you had said to me about that your parents took you down there, and on certain days they didn't think that you could make it, because they, as parents, were looking at the symptoms that my child has and the difficulty of taking him from point A to point B, and what if something happens, what if it makes it worse? And I don't know, I mean, as a parent, I think all sorts of things when my
Right.
children were small. So I can imagine your parents there, your mom, your sisters, and I don't want to take this sick little boy. He's hooked up to things. He's sick. He's laying there, and there's no energy. Yet he's begging you, as you said, as a 10-year-old can, please,
Right.
please, 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 please. Okay. So then they take this beautiful child of theirs downstairs, and something happens. This life comes back in to all of what you are.
Right.
And then also when it's over, you sort of fall back into being sick. But in those moments that the cancer cells forgot to make you feel bad.
Right. Exactly right.
And vice versa.
Yeah. It's magical. You know, you lose yourself in those moments, in the power of the music, in the vibration of the music. Everything is starting to move in a different rhythm within you, and you're expressing yourself, and your mind shuts off to all the external forces of what's going on, of treatment and everything else, and you're just totally focused in that moment. And it's just an absolute beauty, a beautiful thing that it happened as a child, and it still happens today to me all the time.
Yeah. I mean, before there were words, there was music.
Right.
There was humming. And I just, when you said that, I think of animals running. That's music.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this rhythm. I never thought so much about how all the cells come together, but you're right. Sitting at a concert, and now you do concerts.
Yeah.
You write music, not just for those that are sick, but it transfers anyway. I suspect that someone is sitting there who's having a fight with their spouse, or they're mad at their kids, or they hate their job or their boss. You can go to a concert and just forget about it.
Yes. It is a powerful thing. And you think about how music transcends everything. Language, cultures, you know, your religion, your sex, everything. It doesn't matter. You go to a concert, everyone is there, and they start to get in that same rhythm. And when you look out, you know, upon a crowd, all singing a certain lyric, all moving in the same feel. Now that is a powerful thing. And you forget about anything that's going on in your life. And from the beginning of time, music has always been able to affect people's emotions and their feelings and transport them to a moment in time. And, you know, I'm just blessed that I get to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Share that with people.
Share it. And so with the work that you're doing, so you take, like, when did the lyrics show up?
The lyrics, you know, as I got older, you know, after treatment and I went back to school, all I wanted to do was be in music classes and theater and all that. And I just remember always being in class and kind of writing in my notebook when I was supposed to be paying attention, and just writing down words or whatever, just a saying and things. And then by my teenage years, my early teens, I had written my first song. And it just was always a thing that came to me pretty quickly. Something would just come over me. I'd either write it down. And as I started to really write, it's really just a calling. All of a sudden, I'm like, for whatever reason, I'll be walking around the house, and the guitar's like, pick me up, pick me up. You know, I hear it in my head, like, pick me up. And I'll try to, you know, sometimes I'll ignore it because I'm busy doing something.
Wow.
But without fail, once I pick it up, it's like, whew, it just comes out of me all at once. The guitar part, the melody, the lyrics, and the song. So it's like that wisdom wanting to come through me, need, you know, just knocking on the door, like, pay attention, I got something to say here.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Other people have talked about that. The spirit that moves you, whatever you call it, whatever you believe in, it doesn't necessarily have a name. It's creativity.
It is. It's that creative force.
Yeah. But that comes from so many places.
Yes.
our belief systems, our lack of belief systems. And I love that you picked up the sword. You are championing whatever came into your life for whatever reason, not something you would choose, but it's here, and you're making the best of it.
Yes.
Like the subtitle is How Cancer Gave More Than It Took. So you decided, okay, I'm not going to let cancer define me. I mean, there were years where you didn't really talk about it. You were still performing. It wasn't the big focus. You chose not to talk about it. But then you'd finish your concert. Everything was going great. You're feeling great, but there was something missing, just an element, and you couldn't quite put your finger on it until you started sharing.
Yeah.
And how did that change things for you?
Well, I think it's the evolution of my life. You know, music was a big staple, and as you said, but there was just something else calling me to do something more with it. And when I was able to realize, hey, wait, my story can be impactful of what I went through and can actually inspire and uplift someone, I was like, oh, okay, let's put these together and see what comes out of that. Now let's talk about, you know, getting through obstacles and getting through hard times and what that looks like, no matter whether it's, you know, your health or relationship, finances, just a bad day, and how you could look at that in a different perspective, and then layer music behind that. Now we got some like transformation that could happen within and really start something amazing for someone's journey.
Right. I mean, I named your chapter "Heaven Can Wait"
I love
based
it.
off of your song, but it wasn't because it's such a great name. It's because of the words and the reason you wrote them. That and of course, for all of us, for me, I think I look at, okay, I think about you and your siblings and your sisters, sorry, and who are your siblings? I don't know why I corrected myself that, but and your family, and I think about the bigger umbrella of Heaven Can Wait is everything that we think of is heaven or the best life that we want, et cetera, et cetera. For you, it's being in the now.
Right.
That I'm here, I'm healthy now, and we don't know where we're going. None of us do. Of course, yours is a little different because you had something that was facing you, like straight in your face, and you had to look at it and suffer through some of the treatments of it, of course. But how? Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the name and of that particular song, and then we'll like to discuss a little bit your next album, your albums that are out now.
Yeah. So Heaven Can Wait came from the thought at first of sometimes when a person's going through a cancer diagnosis or something difficult in their life, for me, it was easier for me to be like, oh, I have this. I have control of what's going on. I get to decide how I feel, where I'm going, what I want to do. So, you know, when I was older and looking back. But for your parents, your siblings, your friends, your loved ones that are around you looking in at the ill person, it is a sometimes very hard thing to swallow and be able to navigate, because you want to help them so much and you don't know what to do or how to do it, and you really don't have any control of making them feel better besides, you know, bringing them love and trying to make them smile, which is very powerful. But in the overall thing, there's that person is in control of their life in that aspect. So when the song came to me, I was like, I want to leave something for my parents and my sisters and loved ones to make them think about and realize a little bit about that. No matter what happens, you know, whether I'm here, whether it is my time to leave this beautiful planet, that the love and the spirit and the feeling and that memory that could be so strong is still here. So like, it's almost like I reside in myself to be, okay, whether something takes me now or takes me later, it should not affect that love and that spirit and that feeling that is here and that I have for them and everyone that has ever come into my life. So that's how the song kind of came through me as love shown through this lyric and melody and song to them to have, forever and ever, that my love is always here to stay. Mm-hmm. And that heaven could wait for a moment sometimes, and you could share a lot of things through that love.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And I mean, you've had many experiences with loss. You lost your best friend, and at a difficult time. And there's, I suspect for some, there's this wish that, oh, okay, if I have to die now, at least I can be with these other people. But that's not really the point. The point is where are you now, and what is your passion and your purpose on this earth? And we all have something.
We do.
We may not find it, and there's no sense that we have to go searching for it. But you found yours. Yours came barreling and into your veins, literally.
Yes.
And you had to face it. You didn't have to.
No.
You chose to face it. And you've made something of it. So now you are touring, you are writing, you are producing records, you're giving back to the cancer community. I'm sure you're giving back to many people. You write a blog, is that correct?
I write a little bit on blogs.
You write?
But it's not as consistent as the other stuff.
Yes. So tell me, where can we find you? When's your next concert?
You can find me at charliescopoletti.com.
I'll have to write that out.
All the social media, it's my name everywhere. My next show is probably around the holidays, probably. Not sure yet, working on some new things and new projects, some new kind of elevated healing kind of music, just dabbling into some things with that. So hopefully maybe in the new year, something will come of that. And really just, I'm really grateful for you and providing this book and putting all these beautiful stories together for people to be able to read and feel and heal and just see the words jump off the page and say, no matter what they are going through, they could get through it. They could change their perspective and live a very happy, healthy, loving life. When I was young, it's one of my favorite quotes. A neighbor gave me this note when I was 10 years old, when I first was diagnosed, and it said, "You may not know why you're going through this now, but one day you will, and you'll have a special gift to share with the world." Now, 10 years old, that went in my drawer. I didn't know what that meant, years later, and I still have it to this day, really started to sink in when I look back at it. I was like, oh, wow, what a powerful statement right there. And it's something that I live by now. And when I talk to people about what they're going through, it's a very powerful thing, because when something drastic and tragic happens, it's the reaction, it's the emotion. Oh, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. But if you're able to take a step back and take the breath and look at it at the wide angle lens, there's some beauty and magic that's in there, no matter how tough it might be now. When you could look at it in a different way, you could really make something magical and really share a special gift with the world.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. It reminds me of something that happened when my father was ill, and someone gave him this poem, and I've remembered it, and it reminds me of you as well, and so many other people. It's "'Tis easy enough to be pleasant when life flows along like a song, but the man worthwhile is the one who can smile when everything goes dead wrong." Oh, I missed a part. It's easy enough to be pleasant when life flows along like a song. Oh gosh, I've totally forgot it. I've never forgotten.
I love already what you've said. I love it.
For the test of the heart is trouble, and it's bound to come with the years. The smile that is worth praise of the earth is the smile that comes through tears. I'll write it below here.
Yeah,
I post
please.
this.
But I love the
Funny.
sentiment of it.
Yes, and the fact that it has a song in there, that life is a song.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful song.
yes, and I guess writing is poetry. You are a poet. You have to be a poet in order to do what you do.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah. I don't often think that way, but when you say it, there is definitely the lyrics and the message and the way it's written. There is a poetry, of course, to it.
There is a dance to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Charlie Scopoletti, for
Thank you,
spending
Shauna.
this time with me. I so appreciate it, and giving of yourself and being who you are and standing up there in your vulnerability and your strength and giving us something extra to look at, to reach for. And I know there's thousands and thousands of people who look up to you, and some reach out to you and tell you how they feel. And for each one of those people, there's probably 30 or 40 who don't. They don't think about it. But you're really doing wonderful work. It's so important, and I appreciate you.
Thank you so, so much. And I appreciate you as well. And so grateful that we're in each other's lives.
Yes, it's been a treat. It's been a real treat. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today and meeting my dear friend Charlie, and for being part of this journey with my book, with my life. And I mean, I'm learning every day, and I hope you are too. So you take good care, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.